What is going on, everybody? It is the Full Throttle Hog. It's Monday. That means it's time for another MotoVlogger Monday. I want to thank you all for being here and joining us live. Hopefully, you guys are going to participate in the side chat. Super excited for this guest. I know I've gotten a lot of DMs. I've gotten questions. This is somebody coming to us all the way from Australia. Believe it or not, Australia. Amazing. It's 11 a.m. his time. He's taking a little bit out of his day to come and talk with all of us. Hopefully, you guys are following him on YouTube already. If not, you need to go and do that right about now, because this is somebody who is his channel is amazing. He does product review, bike review, everything in between. So let's bring him in right now. We're going to bring Rob in from Throttle Downunder. Rob, what's up?
Hey man, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic. So tell us a little bit. Like it's 11 a.m. your time over there, right?
Yeah,
So
it's Tuesday morning, 11 a.m. I've been away in the country for a family wedding on the weekend, so I've been actually editing a 30-minute wedding video, and
wow.
And yeah, so it's nice to take a break actually while the video is rendering.
Well, yeah, I know that pain too well. I'm sure a lot of us in here do. But yeah, we greatly appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come and just hang with us for a little bit. We're going to talk motorcycles. We're going to talk about your channel. Couple of things that I'm going to bring up right out of the gate is I've got something new. Obviously, trying to always be innovative and changing something, right? I'm just throwing out different ideas. So there had been some. Got my box here. I just got done doing a video on this box, but in here, some people had asked, and I know that this is popular right now, about doing sticker trades and what have you, right?
Yep,
so we have now Full Throttle Hog stickers. I'm excited about, but just one thing a little bit is I am changing it up a little bit, and I'm calling this the Hog Pen. So anybody I've ever done a collaboration with, a live stream included, we have a special black sticker for. Therefore, we can tell the difference between the two. So I'll make sure I get you out one of your Hog Pen stickers.
Very cool. I look forward to it.
So, but yeah, why don't we go ahead and tell me a little bit about you and start from the beginning, man. Tell everybody who you are and what you're about.
All right. Well, essentially, I've been a ship's master for the last 25 years. I just drive boats for a living. And because I've been doing it for 25 years, it's become just a bit boring and I needed a new challenge. And a few years ago, I bought an old Mazda MX-5. I think you guys call them a Miata in the States, yeah. And I built the car and I put a roll cage in it. And I just strapped a GoPro to the top of the roll cage. And I was just filming some club drives that I did with the MX-5 club. The club's really large here in New South Wales. And just out of that, someone told me, oh, you should use YouTube as a platform to store your footage. So I started storing my footage there on YouTube, and that started to grow without me even knowing. I wasn't really watching it. I was just uploading stuff. And then out of the blue, a Mazda dealer in the north coast of New South Wales called me and asked me to review the brand new MX-5 hardtop when it came out. So I jumped at the chance. I didn't know how to review or what to do with the cameras, but I worked it out. And that led into about 18 months of car reviewing. And then out of the blue, I got a phone call from a Kawasaki dealer asking me if I'd review motorcycles. And I hadn't ridden a motorcycle for 20 years or so. But I said, yeah, why not? I'll review motorcycles. And that's kind of where it all started to morph into a motorcycle-centric channel from being what was initially, I was initially called Sydney Coupes and Roadsters. So it was all around convertible coupes and roadsters and all that sort of stuff.
Wow, that's amazing. So you throw it up there just to store your video files, and then people hit you up to.
Yeah, well, it was I call it the accidental YouTube channel. It was it wasn't planned. It was an accident from the start. But as it grew, then I started to put more effort into learning how to edit and sound design and all that sort of stuff. So it's become an obsession, but it started as just a storage platform.
Wow, that is amazing. So tell us about the channel now. So the channel has now turned motorcycle centric.
Yeah. So now it's motorcycle centric. I still do car stuff because I love cars as much as I love motorcycles. The majority of my active followers on the channel are motorcycle followers. So I have to make sure that the channel's based around motorcycles. And then every now and then I just please myself by doing some car stuff as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you know, for those that hopefully you guys are all familiar with this channel already, but I mean, you've got some big numbers on some of those videos. Like I believe that Kawasaki Vulcan's got to be one of your top videos with like 100K, right?
Yeah, it's getting up there. My top one is the unboxing when I bought the Royal Enfield 650. And I think that's sitting at just over 500,000 views now.
Wow.
So yeah, there's a couple of Royal Enfield ones up there, and the rest is like probably the top 10 are Kawasaki centric, and then some of the car stuff comes in as well. But yeah, it's basically Kawasaki and Royal Enfield were the two premium brands that has attracted the attention on my channel.
Now in Australia, is the Kawasaki motorcycle, is that pretty popular?
Yeah, I think the best thing that Kawasaki does is they create a quality bike at a reasonable price. And I think that's why it gets a strong following. And they sort of hit the basics of every category. So they've got, in Australia, the biggest cruiser that they produce is the 900. We used to get the 1500s out here, but we don't get them anymore. And then they have their sports bike and their naked bikes, and they have the retros as well. And retros are very popular here in Australia. I don't know what they're like over there, but anything with retro design is selling out like crazy over this way.
Yeah, I would say, you know, that's going to be a common theme worldwide. I think it does attract a little bit more of the younger generation, which is what everybody's trying to fight for. So it is going to. I mean, I notice a lot more of the naked bikes. Some of the research that I've done, just for everybody that's in the side chat and watching, you know, obviously with motorcycle news being a big thing that we cover, you know, Harley Davidson has just talked about, actually it's been discussed for a while, but they are going to be looking at a new mini Sportster. I don't know if you've heard about this yet, but they've kind of teamed up with a Chinese manufacturer and Benelli's, I guess, parent company. And they are in the middle of creating this design that's going to be a, I think it was 338cc, kind of a mini Sportster, but it might grow legs, and they're talking about doing a 500cc version, and it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I think everybody's trying to attract that new, younger, you know, that younger crowd, because it was a struggle in all realms, even though during the pandemic, the biggest performing class was the purchase of motorcycles. You know, just getting that younger generation involved, I think is the main thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And the biggest population of motorcycle users is obviously Asia and India. And the Harley Davidson models in general are too big for those countries in capacity. Yep. So if they're going into a smaller capacity bike and sticking the shield on it, you know, they'll kill it in those countries. That's one thing where my Royal Enfield videos grew so strongly, was because it was the Indian followers that came across and were watching it, because they're very proud of their brand because it's built there now.
That's crazy. So with what is it that the equipment that you're filming with right now? I know you started with that single GoPro, but I know you've upped your game quite a bit. So what is it that you're using? What's the hardware?
So I've got 3 GoPros now. I've got the 9, the 8, and the 7. So the 9's my handheld one that I use a lot. I've got an 8 on my helmet chin bar, and on the handlebars I've got the 7. And when I'm riding as well, I know it's not illegal, but I just have the 9 on a little mini tripod, and I stick it between my legs when I'm riding, and just pull it out to capture those action shots when you want to have. I set it for linear as well, so the others are super view, but the 9's set for linear, so it gets a more natural image as you're riding around. And then from a camera point of view, I've got the Canon M50. That's my primary camera.
It's good, good camera.
Yeah, it's a good one for video, and it still has way more features than I know how to use, so I don't really see the need to upgrade yet. However, you know, obviously there's always a desire to look at the latest and greatest and upgrade. I'd like to. I've just been recently doing a lot of slow-mo stuff, so I'd like a higher frame rate camera because I can only get 100 frames per second, and it drops down to 720. I think. I don't think it stays up at 1080 for that.
Oh, okay.
So I'd like to just have a little level up from that. But in general, it does more than I can do, and I'm learning how to just upskill myself and try and get the shot a bit better, and frame it and think about it a little bit more than I have in the past, rather than just point and shoot.
Well, yeah, and that's pretty much what it is. Is you always got to be pushing yourself forward, and with all the videos that that you're creating, being a content creator, for me anyway, it's half the fun to even go outside my comfort zone and push the envelope. And I've been editing for a long time, but I still try to find those different ways that maybe I can make it just a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, or get, obviously you can't just buy camera gear all day long. You're going to be living on the side of the streets, but
yeah, absolutely.
You have to push out, and really that's for everybody that's watching this in the side chat. You have to get outside your comfort zone. If you do not like talking on camera, you got to get over that. You got to push it. And if you're working on some slow-mo stuff, you got to get out there. You got to push it, because you can still do a lot. And even if you have to bump it down to 720, for most people that are watching on phones, I would say that's probably the primary watch method. Are they really going to really catch that you're at 720? Probably not. So you can still get some of that silky smooth slow-mo at 720.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, I've just, as I've said to you in chats before, when you've come on the scene, and I'm watching you create more cinematic videos, I think it's made us all level up a little bit more. And I know in our Australian community of motovloggers, we talk a lot in Instagram chat, and we've all said that watching your quality increase is pushing us to make ours improve as well.
That's honestly probably one of the best compliments that I ever could possibly receive. So I thank you for that, because, wow, that's, I'm humbled. Even being, your latest video, even being mentioned with some of those motovloggers is just amazing. So to hear that that's being discussed and people are really trying, that's what this is all about, is let's just come together and bring a better product for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, so I greatly appreciate that compliment. That is amazing. So let's check in real quick on the side chat and see who all is here. I know DeBeard, as always, he was one of the first ones in the room. So let's say hello to everybody. So DeBeard is in the house. Smitty Independent Freedom, he's actually on the road, but he said he's going to be listening in almost like a podcast. So Smitty, hopefully you're riding or driving safe. I don't know which one you're doing. Dad and Matt, hello. Good morning to you as well over there. The infield guy is here. Good to see you. Thank you for coming by. Is that one of your mates there?
Yeah, it sure is.
Okay. Two Wheels Down is in the house. Hello, Two Wheels. He just he just started the ability to ride over in Canada. I didn't even realize that there's actually seasons when you legally can and cannot ride, but I guess he just put out a video on first ride of the season. So that's cool to see. IA Hog Rider is in the house. Good to see you again. Thank you for coming by. Ozarks HD Riders is here. Hello, hello. Shasi is here as usual. Thank you for coming back and joining us, Shasi. Let's see. F Caputo is here. Thank you for being here. E. Okerlund, hello. How you doing? Thank you for coming by, hanging out with us. We're going to be talking about motorcycles, Australia. I can't wait to get a little bit deeper into what we're going to be discussing. But let's make sure I got everybody I can see. Sorry. Skid Pig is here. Hello. I will continuously be checking in on this side chat. So if you guys have questions, something specific, you probably already communicate with Rob as it is, but just questions in the side chat in Australia. Come on, does it get much better than that? That's got to be the dream. So you guys don't have any type of riding specific rules on seasons and stuff like that, right? It's year round.
No, not in Australia. It's year round. We've only got a small area of our country that gets snow in winter, and the rest of the country's pretty hot and brown and desolate. and obviously the coastal areas are all green. But yeah, we can ride all year round, no problems at all.
That's awesome. And where you're at, just for in a geography kind of sense, where are you at in location to the nearest body of water? And if you were to ride from one side of Australia to the other, how long would that take you?
Oh, gee, I don't know. I'm on the east coast of Australia, so I'm in Sydney, New South Wales. I guess we're famous for our Opera House and our Sydney Harbour and Harbour Bridge.
Oh, yeah.
And for us to go from Sydney to Perth, do you know what? I've never even looked at it. I don't know. Maybe someone in the chat can tell us and they can do a quick Google Maps. But I would say it would be a good maybe 3 or 4 days to get from one side to another.
Wow. Okay. Wow, that's crazy. And of all the things that you would cross over into all that different land, I'm sure that'd be an interesting motovlog.
It would actually, yeah, it's a trip that I want to do one day. My wife goes to Perth a lot for business. And so one day I think I might just leave early, ride across and then meet her there. There's a lot of good Western Australian people that are in the motovlogging community as well that I'd like to catch up with. And then probably rather than ride back, I might put the bike on a train and fly back. I think I don't know that I want to go both ways, but I definitely want to go one way at least once.
Yeah, that would definitely, that's also a bucket list of mine. I would love to put the rear tire of my bike in the Pacific Ocean and then ride across country and touch the front of my tire into the Atlantic Ocean and make it coast to coast. So it'd be about the same. I mean, well, I guess that would be straight through. It would take you a little bit longer because, 3,000 miles, I think after the first day, you'd probably want to slow it down a bit.
Yeah, for sure. And there's that trade-off. Do you want to do it as fast as possible, or do you want to actually enjoy it and experience things along the way?
Yeah, 100%. And so if somebody's going to come and visit Australia and they really want to take it in, how much time should they really allot to come? And let's talk it from a motorcycle perspective. So let's say I want to go to Australia and I want to be able to get some riding in and just enjoy being in Australia. Are we talking a week? Are we talking 2 weeks? What would you think?
Oh man, I think you're talking a week to 2 weeks per state at a minimum. So if you were just to come to do the East Coast, so our good mate Skid Pig, who's in the chat, he's up in Townsville towards the northern part of the East Coast. I'm towards the southern part of the East Coast. But to do Townsville, Queensland, Gold Coast, the Great Barrier Reef, you'd need 2 weeks up there at least. Wow. Then coming down into New South Wales, Sydney, Canberra, South Coast, North Coast, and a little bit of outback. There's 2 weeks there. Then, of course, you've got all the other states and that have all got their unique locations. Yeah, if you were doing as much as you could see in one trip only, you'd need to be here for 2-3 months, maybe, I would say.
Wow. Yeah.
So
multiple trips.
Multiple trips. That's like when we come to the States as well. Like I've been to the States a couple of times now, and there's no way that you can do the States in one visit either. You've got to break it up into a couple of trips.
Yeah, for sure. So what is it, when you're riding in Australia, talk to me about the dangers. What would be some of the things that we from the States wouldn't even realize that you have to deal with, besides driving on the left side of the road, which that would be the biggest hurdle for me in the beginning, because I think I would just naturally go to the right side of the roadway. But other than that, what kind of things have you personally faced on the road that I wouldn't think of?
Yeah, well, before we get into that, I just did a quick Google Maps, and from Sydney to Perth, it's a 41-hour non-stop trip, 3,934 kilometres. So, you'd be breaking that up into maybe 4 or 5 days to get across if you want to do it safe. Wow. Well, so I don't know how
the footage you would get on that trip would be amazing.
You'd have a year of footage, I reckon, if you're filming every day, and 10-part series at least. Yeah.
So and I think it would be, you'd have content, you'd be back editing. I couldn't even imagine how many terabytes of footage I would want to.
Oh, it'd be crazy. Yeah, it'd be crazy. Yeah. So go back to your question, the dangers. Do you know what? It's the same dangers as anywhere, really, I guess. We have crazy drivers. We have, I guess we have extremes in weather here. We have like extreme heat and extreme cold as well, but not extreme cold like I would say cold for us is 0 degrees Celsius. We don't go into the minuses very much in most of Australia, but we get a lot of heat, and the heat does a lot of damage to our roads, whether it be potholes or warping the roads, or you go to some country towns and the roads are melted, and they're melted and sticky, and you've got to be careful of that as well.
So when we're talking about like summer heat, like what would be the hottest that you would experience?
Oh, we're looking probably like 40. I've experienced probably 45 degrees Celsius. So I don't know what that translates to Fahrenheit.
Oh, we better look that up real quick.
Better look that up. But but we get a lot of humidity on the east coast of Australia. So the further north you go up into Queensland, up to Skid Peaks territory, it gets awfully humid up there, and that's a place that I just don't feel very comfortable in because of the humidity. And the Queenslanders, of course, all the Aussies in the house will understand that.
Yeah, so 104 degrees. So that's, and I'm assuming there's probably some humidity that probably tacks on top of that.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely. Yeah, and it just melts you. The humidity is what melts you the most.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So IA Hog Rider, he actually just put in, so 45 degrees Celsius, 113 degrees Fahrenheit. That is warm. That's a little hot. That's where you're going to short sleeve it, I'm sure.
And you'll probably see Skid Peak in the chat. He might put up his average temperatures for his hometown, but it gets really hot up where he's. It's a crazy heat up there.
Wow. So your favorite time to ride throughout the year, is there a specific time that you're like, hey, this is where I want to take, either the scenery or just the riding in general and the comfort? When would that be? Oh,
for me personally, it's winter always. I'm a winter person. I overheat very easily. I love riding in winter all the time. I'd rather have 10 layers on to rug up rather than, be hot. So, but I've also got a street glide, so I've got a lot of wind protection as well. If I was riding a bike that didn't have all that wind protection, it might be a different story riding in winter.
Yeah, for sure. When you came out to the States, where is it that you were able to visit? Was it for an event or just to visit?
No, just to visit. I've done, in 2010, I did LA. I was actually in Hawaii, and while I was there was a very cheap fare to come across to LA, so I just jumped on it just out of curiosity. So from LA, I hired a car and I drove up to. I got as far as Monterey and Carmel. I didn't get quite as far as San Fran.
Okay.
And then I came back again 2 or 3 years ago. Did New Orleans, New York, Chicago, so I could drive up to Milwaukee to go to the Harley factory museum.
Oh, very cool.
Which was very cool. And Key West as well, and Miami while I was over there too. So I kind of did a lot of that East Coast side, and New Orleans was probably one of my favorite places. I love that place. Just walking down the street, drinking bourbon, and having a band in every single bar. It was amazing.
Yeah,
and Key West, for that matter, is very similar too.
Yeah, my wife and I did Bourbon Street a few years back, and that was a sight to see for sure. Yeah. We actually left on a cruise out of there, but came in a little bit early, and you would have thought it was Mardi Gras. It was May, but you would have thought it was Mardi Gras because the streets were still packed and bands and people. You got. I remember there was one of the police officers there was coming through on his Harley bike, and he had a big old stogie out of his mouth, and he's cruising down leading the band. I'm like, man, this is crazy. And no doubt some of the best food I've ever had.
And I'm a mad foodie, so anywhere where there's good food, I'm happy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So let's see. So now as far as like wild animal life, when you're riding, what are some of the things that you have to be careful of? Like, I mean, are you literally like on the lookout for kangaroos or what's going on?
Yeah, if you're in a regional area, in a country area, kangaroos can be a really big problem, especially in the morning and the evening, dawn and dusk. They're on the roads a lot then. And a kangaroo will do a lot of damage to even a truck. Like I've seen kangaroos go through the front of a truck and collapse an engine. They're a real hard animal. And when you hit them at high speed, they can do a lot of damage. And Skid Pig in the comments just written drop bears. Yeah, there's something that are really scary over here. I don't know if you've seen a drop bear before.
No, you're gonna have to explain that one to me.
No, well, just Google image a drop bear and you'll see what they're like.
A drop bear?
Yeah, they just fall out of trees and they just land on you.
Okay, hang on, folks. I'm gonna bring this up for everybody to see because we got to discuss this. Let's see here. Let me go into here. All right. And oh, holy. Okay, wait, stand by. I got to share this with you guys. That is insane. I promise I'm bringing it up. Let's see here. See if I can do this quickly. I've never even heard of such things. See, these are the types of questions I'm glad I'm asking because I would want to know. Let me see if I can get a better. I want to make sure I'm doing this justice. Because of all the things I know about Australia and things that I'm fearful of, I'm afraid that I wouldn't survive the trip. That's would be my biggest concern is that I would run into something that, I mean, I don't typically do sharks. You know, it's not my favorite thing to do. So, you know, going in the water, I mean, it'd be awesome to go scuba dive and do the Great Barrier Reef. I mean, that's always been a thought of mine until I ran into a shark, and then I would just walk on water to get out of there. Let's see if I can share this for you guys real quick. So once I bring this up, you're going to have to talk us through this because this is insane. All right. So this, folks, is what he's talking about when he's saying a drop bear while riding. Walk us through it.
So the drop bears, the reason why they're so popular is because it's Australia's biggest joke. That's just a photoshopped koala. But what we tell all of our international visitors that we have drop bears and they fall out of trees and all that sort of stuff, but they're not actually real. They're just a joke, but it's a pretty bloody good joke.
Wow. I just literally walked into that. How did you keep a straight face? All right.
Because we do it a lot. It's a common thing. Like it's like telling people that we ride kangaroos to school. It's just one of those things that we say. But koala bears can be a problem on the road, you know, because they run across roads a lot. And when they're a little nuggety sort of an animal, so you can actually do a bit of damage when you hit them as well. And Smitty has written wombats in the chat as well. And wombats, do you get wombats in the States?
We have different. Not in San Diego. I can tell you that much right now. So I'm sure maybe somebody could chime in. But I mean, there are bats. But you know,
no, a wombat's a little like I think they're a marsupial or a little mammal, but they can be as big as as high as the bottom of your window in a car and round and solid mass. So if you come around a corner and you hit a wombat, you can kill yourself hitting those things.
Yeah, see, they're
a crazy animal.
I don't even know if I'm going to believe you on any of this stuff.
I'm 100% telling you the truth about the wombat.
Because I'm not going to go Google that one. But I will tell you right now, have you ever picked a fight with a kangaroo?
No, but it happens. The kangaroos are actually really cheeky animals. Like kangaroos try and capture dogs. Like I've had friends on farms where the kangaroos are trying to kill the farm dog and the owner has to go and punch the kangaroo to scare it away. That's truth. Yeah, they're really a cunning animal. But yeah, I mean, you see the odd video about someone punching on with a kangaroo, but you don't really want to do that either because if they come up on their tail and they get you with their hind legs, those claws they just rip you apart. So
yeah, I've seen that video of that guy saving his dog. And straight up getting into almost like a boxing match with a kangaroo.
Yeah. And and that was a big red in that video. And the big reds are, you know, they stand about 6 foot tall and they're a very muscular kangaroo.
I can tell you. So I honestly, you know, you talk about all these different animals, and it's the reason I ask these questions because it's not something that I would even think of. You know, the drop bear, especially I'm going to be on the lookout for that. But I mean, looking at other types of, I guess, creatures that you guys have over there, and I call them creatures because some of this is just not right. Okay, and I'm gonna give you an example. And this one I researched myself because I wanted to make sure that people know that what we're dealing with. And what I want you to bring to talk us through is, and hopefully everybody, I'm already getting the willies showing this to you right now, but can you explain what the heck that is?
Yeah, that looks like just a plain old huntsman spider, I think.
Okay, there's nothing plain old about this thing. Okay, I would burn my house down immediately.
So a lot of our houses in most of Australia, yeah, I'm looking at it on the big screen. I'm not sure if it's a huntsman or not, but huntsmans get very big, but they're a common and they're a harmless spider. And a lot of spiders in Australia we actually enjoy in our houses because they kill the mosquitoes and the smaller insects. They eat them. So, you know, if I've got a spider in the corner, is there one up there? No, not at the moment. You generally keep them around because they're good for you.
No. You can say they're good for you, but I don't do spiders. I pretty much stay away from the 3 S's, which is the spiders, sharks, and snakes.
Yeah, and that's fair call too. We've got some nasty spiders. Yeah, Skid said that is a huntsman, so it's just a really big one and harm. I think the huntsman is poisonous, but their fangs are so soft they can't actually pierce your skin, so they're harmless to us.
I seriously, I don't know what I would do. Like, honestly, I was looking up these spiders over there before you came on the show, and I honestly, like, even right now, like, my hands are sweating. If I saw one of those in my house, I don't know what I would do. I'm sorry. It would be an interesting video if somebody was filming my response, because I'm going to tell you right now, I will send my 5-year-old to go kill a spider before I get near it. I just don't do it. Something that small. And over here, I mean, we have like widows, and in comparison to the huntsman that we just looked at, we have black widow spiders, and something like that. My biggest thing is something that small should not be that powerful.
Yeah,
and that's what scares me the most. So I don't do well with spiders. I had a couple bad experiences when I was younger. I'm glad it wasn't filmed. I actually probably would have been a YouTube hit.
Yeah, absolutely. But you were saying sharks and snakes. Yeah, I mean, that's an issue. Snakes are an issue on the road as well, because they'll sun themselves on a hot road to warm themselves up. And as you're riding or driving along, you might come across snakes here and there. And most of our snakes, although they're poisonous, they won't kill you. They'll make you very sick. But we've got a couple of snakes that will kill you within minutes. So you certainly don't want one of those jumping up at your legs as you're going past.
Yeah, and is that something where they probably have identifying marks where you're very familiar with them out there, where you're like, hey, I know exactly what that is, right?
Yeah. One of our deadly ones is the brown snake, and the downside about the brown snake is it's a very fast snake. It won't catch you on a bike, but if you're walking through the bush and you start to run away, it can chase you, and it'll run down most humans. It's that quick. But then we have like a snake that will make you sick but won't kill you, called the red belly black snake. And you can see its red belly from a long way away. So you know to stay clear, but don't be too fearful of it.
Yeah, just keep on walking.
Yeah, that's right. And with the sharks, like, I've worked on the water for 25 years as a ship's master. And, I see probably on Sydney Harbour, I see 1 or 2 sharks a week through the surface of the water. And but there's such few shark attacks as comparison to the sharks that we have, that they're not a really big threat. I mean, they're a threat, but not enough for us to stay out of the water from.
Right. Yeah. And out here, especially in San Diego, I mean, we have breeding grounds right in La Jolla, just north of La Jolla, which is breeding grounds for the great white. And it's in comparison. I mean, being in Southern California, I've surfed many times, and it's always in the back of my mind, because I'm going to be honest with you, I know that they're not going to try to bite me, but I don't want to be a victim of that.
No, that's right. Yeah.
So that would make me retire from surfing quickly.
Yeah, fair enough.
But they are out here, and the best thing is if I don't see it, then I'm okay, right? It's if you get crystal clear water and you have these, some of these surfers, they're like, there's sharks underneath them, and they're like, hey, I got to catch this wave. I'm like, nope, it's not that important.
There's an Aussie YouTube channel called YBS Youngbloods, and he's a young guy called Cody, I think his name is, but he's in Western Australia on the North Coast. But he swims in these most spectacular coral reefs every single day and films it. Jet skis, boats, he fishes. But he'll just jump in. He'll see a tiger shark going past, which are almost as deadly as a great white. And he'll jump in with it just to experience it. And he's never been attacked. He's never threatened. But yeah, I watch his video. And actually, from a cinematic point of view, that's a channel that's absolutely epic to watch because some of his footage is just amazing and mostly done on just drone and GoPro.
Really? Go ahead. What's that page again?
It's YBS, the 3 letters, YBS, Youngbloods.
Youngbloods.
Yeah, definitely one to check out. And I mean, he's got millions of subscribers. Like he's a big guy in the YouTube world, but his videos are awesome. He's a crazy dude, but very exciting to watch.
Very cool. Well, getting back to your bike. So you said you have a Street Glide, and when did you get the Street Glide?
So I've got the 2019 Street Glide Special, and I bought it. It was a demonstrator model, so it had been used in the dealer, but other than that, it was new. And I bought that. I had one of my Royal Enfield 650 I had, but a lot of the guys that I found myself riding with, they're all riding on bigger cruisers. And although I love my little Enfield, it's a great city bike. It wasn't good to do 200 kilometers in a day on. And then my bike became available from a Harley dealer in Canberra, which is a state just south of Sydney. And I rang him one day, and 2 days later, it arrived on the back of a trailer in my workplace. So I hadn't planned. I've always wanted a Harley. I hadn't planned to get one because, in general, they're a bit out of reach financially, and in Australia, in particular, they're very expensive. So yeah, but my wife agreed to it. And once she says yes, you got to jump at the chance before she says no or changes her mind.
Yes.
So I was on the phone straight away, and 2 days later it was in the garage. So it can't go back once it's here.
Yes, that's a good plan. Good plan. I do the same thing. Just kidding, wife. Yeah, that's good stuff. So when you started switching over to making it more of a motorcycle centric channel, and obviously getting the Street Glide is going to change all that, right? And having a newer model bike, I'm sure that was probably pretty huge. What did you start out with as far as filming? What was you obviously had your GoPro, and up until the Canon, did you only use GoPro?
No, I had an older, it's usually sitting here, but it's not here at the moment. I had an older Canon 760D, a digital SLR. And I started using that because I bought that when I went to the States, actually, as a photography camera. It doesn't have very good video, but it was a great photography camera. And then that's just what I had when I got back. So I started using that. But then I fast learned that if I wanted to go because in Australia, we use the PAL system for filming. So it's 50 and 25 frames per second rather than 30 and 60 like you guys use. So even if I went into 50 frames per second, I'd be dropping down to 720p. And it wouldn't go any higher frame rate to do any more slow-mo than that. So that's when I got the little M50 to move on. But when I started doing the motorcycle stuff, I had about 6 GoPros because I was inexperienced with making all of these videos. I figured I'd just set up cameras everywhere where I was doing car reviews. I'd have suction cups everywhere, front, back, exhaust, grill. I had them everywhere. And then you'd spend a whole week trying to sort through that footage to find something to make a decent video out of. And it wasn't until I made a dozen videos and wasted hours and hours of my life, I realized I could work with 2 cameras and just stop on the side of the road and move them every now and then around the car rather than have to sort through. And I've just learned over time to be more strategic with even when I press record. Like I'm not one of those people that press record and ride all day. I literally have everything in where I can reach it. And if I see something interesting, I press the button and then I turn it off. And that way, at the end of the day, or when it comes to editing, I've only got a dozen files to have to sort through rather than have like hours and hours and hours of footage.
Yeah, and it's a huge point, and I tell people all the time, especially if you're getting into motovlogging or you're getting into vlogging in general or cinematography, you really need to have a plan and shorten down your clips. Like I
Yeah.
typically make sure, unless I'm doing a talking head or some type of anything narrative, I'm only cutting about 10 to 12 maybe seconds of video of just clips, and I just have it on the quick capture feature on the GoPro when I'm doing that, and it makes it so much smoother when you're trying to find your edit. So 100%. That leads me to my next question, which I actually don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to think now. You said, so obviously the frame rates are different. So for me, example, I always film and I edit in 24 frames per second. So if you're watching that in Australia, does that change the quality at all because you guys are doing 25 and 50?
No. We watch it in whatever you created in down here. But the thing is, if we, in a lot of cases, not so much now because there's an anti-flicker technology in a lot of our cameras and phones now. But if I was to film in 30 and 60 or 24, inside here, our lights are set for 50 hertz. So our lights flicker in the footage. So that's the reason why we use 25 and 50 instead. But if we're watching anything that's been filmed in the States, we're watching it just like you're watching it. It doesn't affect us here. It's only the recording the image from the start that it affects.
I see. Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. Everybody in the side chat, if you're creating stuff, it doesn't change.
There's a guy that a lot of people in the chat probably follow. He's an Aussie guy called the $1 Million Bogan, and he's grown massively in recent years. But when he uses his GoPro inside, it flickers all the time, and that's because he's got that set for what is it, NTSC or whatever you guys use.
Yep. NTSC.
And he just hasn't changed that in his settings, and he obviously doesn't mind that flickering in his footage, but it annoys me, so I make sure that I don't create that.
Yeah. No, that's good. I mean, obviously, along with audio, I think that it would be very distracting because I know that flicker would just draw my attention to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All day. Let's go back over into the side chat. Make sure I know I missed a lot of people that came in. So let me see if I can get through to everybody here. And if keep commenting, guys, because if I miss you, I want to make sure I got you in there. Looks like Setzer Pendants is here. Yeah, I did get trolled on the show. Yeah, I fell right into that. I'm not joking. That was not pre-planned whatsoever. And it was very well played, Rob. Well done. Obviously, the wife is here. I think she's probably laughing at me getting trolled there for a little bit.
I think she was laughing while you were looking at the photo. She might have known the answer already. Probably.
Rob and the Lady Biker, thank you for coming in. The Badgers. Yeah. I have to find somebody else to get, only to make myself feel better. I have to use the drop bear on somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Anonymous Biker USA is here. And what's really cool is that the, this community in itself, and it's awesome that you guys have a great community out there in Australia too, that it seems like you guys, do a lot, and like you said, you guys are doing those internal chats and things like that. But the motorcycle community, and especially you add motovlogging community on top of the motorcycle community. I mean, you got friends for life. You really do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the one thing. It's probably my greatest asset from doing the YouTube channel is the friends that I've made out of it. Even like there's friends that I haven't even met face to face yet, but you know that they're friends for life already. So it's been an amazing little experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Frank and Fam, I think he was referring to that the spider picture.
The spider picture, yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, the wife knows how I feel about spiders. So I will run at the sight of them. Two Wheels Down says the brown snake and wolf spider are the biggest biters. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
yep.
Yeah, we do have wolf spiders out here, and they get massive in size. But when I say massive, not even close to what you guys are dealing with. So when I say massive, it's like the size of a quarter, right? That to me is massive.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of the pest control,
Yeah.
have them come and do it. So let's see. I know we had a couple other people come in here and say stuff. I want to make sure I'm not missing any questions they might have for you as well. Two Wheels Down says he loves snakes. Well, you can have them.
And some of my family have got pet snakes. They've got an aquarium set up that's just full of snakes. They love it. I don't like having them as a pet, but they're awesome.
So when I was a kid, I had a snake. I had a Florida king snake, and you'd think I wouldn't have any fear, but one day that snake bit me.
Yeah,
and it changed everything. 9 Mils on Two Wheels is in the house. He says, late like normal. Thank you for coming by, though, and thank you for being here. Make sure you guys are asking questions for Rob if you have anything. We're getting into like deadly animals that you might run into in Australia, which is pretty much everything. Like, don't you guys even have like deadly frogs and things like that out there?
Yeah, well, we've got a poisonous frog. There's actually, and this is a Queensland frog up where Skid Pig's from. It's called the cane toad, and it excretes poison through its pores on its back, so it can make you very sick. But it's become a pest. It was actually, I can't remember the exact story, but it was introduced to kill some spiders or something like that, but it took off. It became a pest, and now they're hard to kill.
Wow.
Oh, there's a question from John, Dad and Mad.
Yeah, question from Rob. A question for Rob. He says, "Is there a bike you'd love to test ride that you can't get a hold of there in Australia?"
Look, I think probably the obvious one would be the those bikes that Keanu Reeves builds. I think even over there, I think they cost $50,000 to get them out here. You'd be looking at $100,000. So I know it's essentially like I guess a cafe racer Harley, but because we don't get them, I'd love to be able to say that I've ridden one of those.
Yeah, for sure. That's and I'm pretty sure they're up there. It's the I think they even out here are starting at the 100,000.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, fair enough.
So Motorcycle Monkey's got a great question for you. Would you rather face a great white or a croc? And you have to pick one. You can't say none.
I think I'd rather face a croc, especially if land was nearby, because you can outrun a croc. But if you're facing a great white, you're already in deep water, and you're in his territory.
That's good logic.
There is a theory, and I don't know how true it is, but there is a theory that if you are attacked by a shark, if you punch it right on the tip of its nose, it's the most sensitive point of a shark, and it will make it go away. I think we saw that on, who was it? One of our Australian surfers in South Africa got bitten by or his board got hit by a shark, a great white, and he just punched it and it went away. I can't even remember his name now. I've got a mental block, but he was an Aussie surfer, a famous surfer. But a crocodile, like if you look at a lot of crocodile footage, if you're deep in the water too and it grabs you, they give you the crocodile roll, they spin you, and they take you and they actually hook you under a submerged object so you drown. And then they eat you later. They don't eat you straight away, but a shark will take you straight away.
Yeah, see, that's none of that sounds. I mean, it's good logic. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of punching a shark in the nose. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I've joked around and tried to throw a punch underwater, and I'm pretty sure that I couldn't harm anything with that.
Mick Fanning was the guy. I've just looked it up.
Oh, okay.
So if you look on YouTube, there's a bunch of videos of him punching the shark, and you see like the fin is epic. Like the fin is taller than he is sitting out of the water, and he punches it in the nose, and then he disappears behind a wave, and then the next minute he's on a boat. So I think he must have walked across the water pretty bloody quick after that.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, that would that's crazy. So those ARC motorcycles are the Keanu Reeves bikes. And
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Motorcycle Monkey said those can go more than $100,000 out.
Wow,
here, so.
That's a lot of money for a motorbike.
So Keanu Reeves, Megan's Moto Adventure just said Keanu Reeves was out at the racetrack a few weeks ago out here in California. She missed him by 2 days.
Oh, wow.
Actually, yeah, I saw some of the Instagram photos others were posting of him out there and riding those bikes, which would be just a cool experience just to get on one of those things because they do look amazing. And he's a huge, I mean, I didn't even realize how much into motorcycles he is. I mean, to have your own you're online. I guess you'd have to be pretty.
And he seems like a pretty decent sort of fella as well.
Yep. I actually, I met him, let me think of the year here. I met him in 2014 at a Starbucks. And
Oh yeah.
Real nice guy. I mean, obviously we weren't talking about much of anything, but he took the time, that everybody that was there. I mean, he was, dressed down, and you hear all these different stories, about him, that he's just a very, very humble guy. And from just the experience that I saw of him and meeting him, I can say that he seems like a really cool dude. Would love to have a beer with that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. So in Australia, what is the, I can't imagine that Foster's is even something that you guys even drink out there. I'm sure, you're already shaking your head. So what is the beer of choice in Australia?
The best thing about Foster's is that we can export it to other people to drink. It's like our drop beers. It's the joke from the country. You guys can drink our Foster's. That's fine.
Yeah. Is there a popular beer brand though in Australia?
Do you know what? I mean, almost every beer is popular in Australia. We're a big beer drinking country. These days, I think, especially on the East Coast, there's a beer called the Great Northern Lager, and that's a real popular drink at the moment because it's a light flavored beer, and you can get mid strength as well, so you can have a couple of beers and still drive and ride safely. But we've got a real insurgence of craft beers around our cities at the moment. There's a law that was changed to allow micro breweries to exist and operate, and so even within a 10-kilometer range of my house, there would be about 80 different craft breweries where you can just go and visit and just drink these unique beers and in a funky little urban environment. And it's become very popular, the craft breweries.
Yeah, I would be so excited to get out there and just film. I mean, I literally would be probably like a kid in a candy store just to take photos and just get some beautiful cinematic footage of Australia. It's going to happen one of these days. I'm telling you.
Well, we've got a beautiful country. It's very broad. Like when you did the saddle saw just recently, I thought, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Let's look into doing that here. And I realized that for me to do saddle saw here, I'd have to leave Sydney and ride directly up the coast to Brisbane or the Gold Coast, I think it was. So, and then turn around and come back. So that's like going almost from south to north of Australia. Almost from Sydney to Brisbane and back would be the 1,000 miles, which is 1,600 kilometers for us, I think. But that's a big ride. Well, when I looked at that and then I looked at your video, I admired it even more because that's a long way in 24 hours.
Well, I tell you what, though, that would get me to watch the video just to see that countryside would be amazing. So, if you do it and post it up, I will be the first one on there to watch it.
The only problem is, and probably the same as with you, like if you're doing the freeway run the whole way, which you want to try and do to achieve the goal, the distance goal in 24 hours, there's not a lot to look at a freeway. You've got to go off into the little towns off the freeway to get some nice footage and nice views. I actually drove up there recently for a holiday. I drove up to a little town called Kingscliff, which is just south of the Queensland border. And I did it in 2 nights, and I stayed at a little town called Southwest Rocks, and it was such a beautiful little spot. I've never been there before in my life, so you need to get off the road to really enjoy it.
Yeah, and that was the biggest thing with trying to create that route for the saddle sore was, I could do the freeway route, but nobody really wants to watch that. Now it does.
That's right.
When you do film it, it does cut into that time frame, and that's another thing I realized is, by the time that you got your receipt and you take your photo of the receipt and you got everything ready to go, and you maybe scarf down like a granola bar, take a sip of water, then you're like, oh crap, I got to get some footage, and it just eats into that time. But And it makes for, just a better video, but I think you should do it. I tell you what you need to do is just talk to Whit Meza, who actually just popped back in. She's right here. And she'll convince you to do it. And I want to say it was 11 minutes. If I'm not confused, I think on a live stream, she had me doing it in 11 minutes. So
I actually watched that live stream, and I follow Whit as well. And I really enjoy her videos. So, I think I'll do it one day. And like you did, I'd like to do it with someone, not solo. And I've got a couple of people that might be keen, but it's a big ask to do that distance.
Yes. No, yeah, for sure. I know that Whit is getting ready to do the 48 states in 10 days. I guess she's got
Wow.
things, things are booked and she's got everything ready to go. Maybe she can tell us when the takeoff date will be in the side chat there, and we can pop it up for everybody. But yeah, Whit Meza is going to do the Iron Butt Challenge, which is 48 states in 10 days on her motorcycle. That is pretty amazing. So I have to ask you, so does your wife ride with you?
No, she gets on the back very occasionally, but it's my escape. It's the moment I put the helmet on and do my thinking and my releasing of stress and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's pretty much my time when I'm on the bike.
Yeah, that's, that helmet meditation is how I call it, because it is something that, people that don't ride will never understand it. And I wish that a lot of people would just get involved in it, just so they can feel what that is to be inside your helmet and just everything goes away. It's amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
So Whit says end of June is when she's taking off. So we'll
That's
be
not far away.
No, right around the corner. Well, let's play a little around the horn. I hope you came prepared, because my last guest had Anna Nicole Smith. So we're going to change it up just a little bit, only because you're in Australia and because we talked about a little bit of a road trip, and we're going to call this around the horn. You're going to be doing that coast to coast, right? You're going to as much time as you possibly need, right? So question number one for around the horn is going to be, you are riding on that once in a lifetime coast to coast trip. What kind of bike are you on that you do not currently own?
There's a craze in Australia, and I don't know if it is everywhere else in the world, but we've got our postie bikes, the little Honda CT 110s, I think they are. They're a little red bike that our postmen use. And once they've lived their life as a post bike, they're sold at auction pretty cheap. And a lot of people buy them and do big adventures on these tiny little postie bikes. So I reckon that I'd like to do, primarily I'd like to do it on my Harley, but if I was doing it not on my Harley, I'd have to do it on a postie bike to enjoy the experience just that little bit different.
That is pretty cool. That would be cool to see for sure. Throw some GoPros on that. Oh, you got instant winner. All right, so you're on this trip, and you get to go take this trip with somebody that's either present or past. Who are you taking that trip with?
Oh, I'd say it'd have to be my late dad. I lost my dad a couple of years ago. And although he never rode when I was alive, before I was born, he used to ride. He was a Harley guy. He had a WLA Harley, 1942, I think it was, and BSA Bantams, which were a little British bike. And I think I'd like to bring him back for the occasion and stick him on his WLA for the trip across. So me on the postie, him on a 1942 WLA. I'm sure there's going to be some adventures on that trip.
Absolutely. Wow, that sounds amazing. All right, so you guys you get to the other side and you're sitting down and you get to have a drink. What are you drinking?
Well, my dad, his name was Bazza. He would be drinking, there used to be a beer here called KB Lager, just the initials KB. It was a gold can, and all the Aussies in the chat will remember KB Lager. But he drank that like it was lolly water. So I would probably, he'd be on his KB Lager. I'm a bourbon and Coke sort of guy. I like a beer occasionally, but I find bourbon and Coke a nice, easy drink.
Nice, as do I. That is definitely my go-to. All right, so you're sitting with your dad. He's got his beer, and you got your bourbon and Coke, and you get to ask him one question. What question would that be?
Yeah, I don't know, mate. I think that I would probably ask him. His brother just passed away a couple of weeks ago. So I reckon that wherever they are now, that they'd be having a couple of beers themselves, and I'd like to be a fly on the wall for that catch up.
Nice.
If there's life after death in any way, I'd certainly like to know where they are and what they're doing, because they were lads. They'd get up to mischief. They were cheeky, and both really good men.
Awesome. Well, that was a phenomenal around the horn. I will tell you that. Those were really, really good answers. Let's see here. Now, when you're doing your riding, are you typically always with some of your buddies, some of your mates that you guys are planning things out, or is it spontaneous? You just pick up the phone? How does that work over there?
Yeah, it's pretty spontaneous. So I ride a lot on my own because I can pick and choose the days that I work. And I have weekdays off a lot, and the roads are empty on a weekday, so you can enjoy a road better on a weekday. But all of my friends work on weekdays, so yeah, I ride a lot on my own, but I really enjoy doing group rides as well. My last couple of videos, I've done a couple of trips with some mates, with some other MotoVloggers, and there's nothing better than rolling down the road and having fun. And one of the boys, the other day, Easy Does It Moto, he's a MotoVlogger. He's up in his saddle surfing on the Harley and all that sort of stuff. And I would never do that. I'm not skilled enough to do that, but it's enjoyable to watch. I can tell you that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, what is on your agenda for 2021? Like, do you guys have big motorcycle events in Australia? Tell us about them if they are, or what do you got planned?
Yeah, we've done a really good job of keeping COVID at bay. If we get 3 or 4 cases, we stress, and so we're very lucky to be on an island. But in saying that as well, a lot of the events that have been organised have been cancelled at the last minute because there may be 3 cases of COVID in the next state, so they cancel. Which I understand, like it's keeping us safe, and I know that COVID's been rampant through the US and through the UK, and we've been awfully lucky down here. So yeah, everything's been cancelled, unfortunately, but we don't seem to have those big events like Sturgis that you guys have. Our motorcycle community has always been there, but it's only in recent years where it started to really culminate into some really big events. And I guess our little motovlogging community that we're growing down here, it'll be something that's going to grow the motorcycle community in the country as well, and try and make more events happen. And even if not making them happen, being there to broadcast it, to share with people about the event so they can come next year and the year after. And
yeah, and make sure everybody on the side chat, if you guys are checking in, you're over in Australia, I'd love to know. Therefore, I can go follow along on your channel. Definitely love seeing that country. So make sure you guys let me know in the side chat exactly. I know you said Skid Pig is from Australia. Who else is do you know that's over there?
Smitty Independent is a local boy. He's only a few hours up the road from me.
Okay.
And I haven't seen any other Aussies in the chat, I don't think. Just scrolling through now.
Okay, yeah. If you're watching the replay, make sure you leave a comment below and let me know if you're in Australia, because I definitely want to check out your channel. So it sounds like the motovlogging community over there is a fairly new concept.
Yeah, pretty much. So I mean, when I started, I guess a year and a half ago, I struggled to find others. There were others about, but I struggled to find them. But in the last, the last year or so, we've seemed to have found each other, and it's growing rapidly. There's in Melbourne, there's the Harley Road Show that's growing really quick, and Moto G Spot, and we've got Easy Does It Moto, who's a local boy just down the road from me, and yeah, it's a growing little community, and we're sort of following the lead from the States, because we've seen how a lot of the American motovloggers have grown by sticking together and visiting each other and learning from each other as well. And so I think we're in the process of just starting to do that down here as well.
Wow. Yeah. It's going to be good to be right at the beginning of that, because I almost feel, for me, just looking at the motovlogging community, I mean, I don't necessarily feel that the motovlogging community is dead and gone, but it was, I would say 5-6 years ago was probably the start of that impact, and where there was just a ton of people looking for that type of content. And so, I mean, you guys being right there in the beginning part of it, I mean, your channel is going to blow up, because the content that you're making is solid. Your reviews, that jacket review you just recently did, amazing. Like that's the type of stuff I think that's going to pay dividends all the way around. So good at you guys. And I can't wait to schedule a trip where I can come out and ride with you guys and get some filming done. We'll have a great time. Yeah,
absolutely. It'll be a good trip. There's a few of the Americans, and Dad and Mad have coming over from the UK. They want to come over in a couple of years as well. And we can't wait to get you guys down here, because we've got a beautiful country to share with you. and and it'll be really good.
Yeah. And just real quick, have you ever thought about doing coming out for Sturgis or a big motorcycle?
Yeah, absolutely. It's on my list. Route 66, of course. Like that's what everyone wants to do, right? I think that Route 66, I'm resigned to the fact that I'll probably be in a Mustang rather than a Harley to do that because the wife will come. But that's okay as long as it's American muscle of some sort. But yeah, definitely, we all want to come over and do Sturgis and all that sort of stuff, and see all the tourist destinations and ride those amazing roads. And I guess like the whole motorcycle lifestyle started in the States, back in the 50s and 60s, and that's kind of like the mecca when it comes to where do you want to ride to. Yeah, I want to ride to Sturgis, or I want to go to Mount Rushmore or whatever. That's all on the bucket list for sure.
Right. Well, I tell you what, if you ever, or when you make it up, we will one day. We're going to be doing a collaboration live together. We got to make sure that happens.
It will.
Maybe we do a couple. We can go. I'll come out and visit you, and then you come out here. But yeah, you'll have to make sure you stay in touch.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's going to do it for today's live stream, everybody. I know that Throttle Downunder, he's taking some time out of his day. He's working on a wedding. Let's touch base real quick on that if you just have another minute or so. So
yeah.
So obviously people knew that you were doing some video editing stuff, and then bam, they're like, hey, I got a wedding for you to shoot, or how did that come about?
Oh, no, it was a family wedding. So my cousin's daughter got married on the weekend in a little country town called Mudgee. And a week before, they were planning not to have a videographer. And a week before, my cousin rang me and said, look, can you just bring out a couple of GoPros just to capture the ceremony and the vows? And I said, well, I can, but GoPros are pretty crap when it comes to doing that sort of stuff. Like, you're not going to get audio in an outside environment. And I said, I'll bring my 2 cameras with my little shotgun mics on the top, and I'll see what I can do. Like, I said, don't expect anything, and anything less than nothing is going to be a bonus. But it's still rendering. It's got about 15 minutes to go on the render. But I'm actually reasonably proud of it. I did a decent job, so I think they'll like it. It won't go public on my channel at all. It's just for them.
Sure.
But yeah, it was a nice event. They had a couple of hot rods there as wedding cars, which hits there. I'll make a video about the hot rods that were there. But yeah, no, it's come out good. I'm really happy with it.
That's awesome. Yeah, very cool to be able to have that for them, because that is one of the things I'll tell you. My wife and I constantly talk about it. Our biggest regret was not having a videographer to actually do the wedding, and of course I wasn't going to film my own wedding, but yeah, that's going to mean a lot for them. So good at you for doing that. Yeah,
I just figured, like, I'm more motivated by moving pictures rather than stills. So, and I was the same with my wedding. If I could have turned back time, I would have got a videographer as well, because I would rewatch that. Mm-hmm. Whereas I don't necessarily go back and look through photos very often at all. So yeah, I think it'll be a nice memory for them if nothing else.
Awesome. Well, yeah, man, I would love to definitely have you back on the show soon. I know that Motorcycle Monkey, with his new podcast, I was talking to him just the other day. I think he would be interested in having you. I don't know if that'd be something you'd be interested in. But
absolutely. Anything, mate. Anything to be involved in the community is great fun.
Yeah, you guys should get together and reach out. I'll make sure that you guys get in touch to have you on the podcast that just launched. I think the second episode comes out tomorrow morning.
I'll have to look it up.
But yeah, he's got something good going on over there. But thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to visit with us, for being on this live stream. I'm pumped to try to schedule. As soon as COVID is all said and done, I am going to hit you up. We're going to pick a time frame, and we're going to get out to Australia, and we're going to get some riding and some filming done for sure.
Let's do it. And I'll get some drop bears organized for you to cuddle.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well played. Well played. But thank you, everybody, for joining in on the side chat. If you are rewatching this on the replay, thank you so much. Let me know if you guys are from Australia, and if you have a channel, I'd love to check it out. And we will catch you guys next week on MotoVlogger Monday.